Amy,
Yes, can you hear me?
loud and clear. How are you?
Well, oof, that was kind of scary at the beginning. I just kept hearing the screaming over and over again, but I'm good. I'm here. Zennie, I am honored, delighted, as my mother would say, tickled pink that you invited me to join you. I appreciate it. And I know we have limited time, so let's jump in.
Yeah. Amy, I can think of no better person to approach regarding this matter of the Raiders in Las Vegas Monday night and what felt like to me a Coliseum crowd transplanted to Las Vegas. And so the question on the table for us is, has Mark Davis succeeded in transferring Oakland Raiders culture, indeed Oakland itself? And I realize I'm opening up a kind of esoteric conversation, but Oakland itself in terms of its culture to Las Vegas. What say you, being really basically the representative of the term once a Raider, always a Raider, and the person who for 20 years was, Al Davis' right hand?
Zennie, you and I have always enjoyed esoteric conversations. So I will begin by noting that I was absolutely thrilled to see the fans, to see Raider Nation in that stadium, enjoying not only a game, but a prime time game in which the eyes of the nation that were watching football were on the game. And it was magnificent to see the fans there because, of course, as we know, while the stadium opened last season, there were no fans in the stands. So to see the fans there enjoying the game, a primetime game, a Monday night game, and a win was just magnificent. To answer your question about sort of Oakland and the Raiders, I was not with the team in Oakland when Al moved it from Oakland to Los Angeles. I joined the team in Los Angeles. But that said, because I was at Cal Berkeley, I did go to Raider games when the team was in Oakland while I was in college. So I was familiar with that atmosphere. I was familiar with the atmosphere in Los Angeles, familiar with the atmosphere when the team moved back to Oakland. Magnificent in every single regard. Al had a saying, the Raiders are global. And I learned that saying, that phrase, the moment I joined the organization. And you know what, Zennie? It's true. It is a global fan base. It is an international fan base. It is a magnificent fan base. And now that fan base is in a new location. And, it's not mutually exclusive for me to say this. For the fans that are thrilled with the move and will be following the team to Las Vegas, I am thrilled for them. And for the fans in the Bay Area, in Oakland in particular, who are heartbroken, my heart goes out to them. So those two things aren't mutually exclusive, but the new stadium is absolutely spectacular. And I hope that the fans who are there enjoy it, enjoy everything about it.
How much of this is because of the design of the stadium? Because when the organization was in Los Angeles, they were stuck with the LA Coliseum. And then, of course, at the Coliseum in Oakland, one could argue that the A's were not exactly thrilled with the configuration, and maybe there were some changes that could have been made to better accommodate the A's in terms of a new stadium and let the Raiders have entirely the Coliseum. But is it that they just got it right, that Mark just got it right and really designed something that when I was taking a walk around through it, a cyber walk, if you will, I thought, this feels like home. Is that the key to establishing a team culture? What is the key?
Well, I'll answer that in a couple of regards. Number one, I agree with you entirely. It is a magnificent stadium, and the Raiders have never had a stadium like that. As you noted, in Los Angeles, it was in the Coliseum. Initially the seats were a mile from the field. Ultimately, that was fixed, but not particularly well. So, the LA Coliseum is old and storied, but it is not a football stadium in a modern sense. The Oakland Coliseum, also terrific in many, many regards, but as a dual purpose facility, not perfect for baseball, not perfect for football. It was a compromise. This is the first time the Raiders have a stadium designed by the Raiders for the Raiders, and it is a magnificent stadium. Now that, and that said, I really do agree with Al and do believe that it is a global fan base. And what I'm about to say is not in any way to diminish from how magnificent the stadium is, but to salute the Raider fans. Raider fans are going to be magnificent and make a magnificent environment and create a magnificent culture no matter where games are played. You could set up a Raider game on a piece of sand on the beach with no seats, and Raider fans would come there and they would make it the most magnificent event in the world. So yes, I agree with you. It's a magnificent stadium, and it's the first time the Raiders have had a stadium like this. But my love for the Raider fans and my respect for the Raider fans is so deep and so true that I am absolutely convinced you could play a game on a bridge, on a street, on a beach, in a park, and those fans would turn it into a home field environment for the team.
What do you forecast for the future as they bring in gambling and it settles in? Will, and something else too, I'm going to take this in two different directions, but I think with our collective brains, we can bring them together. You want to really intrigued about, Amy, is that I don't believe this could be done anywhere but Las Vegas. This is what I mean, okay? You can shape your own venue in Las Vegas, your own themed hotels and so on, in a way that I think if the Raiders had moved, say, to San Antonio or someplace else, I don't think it quite would have been the same. But this, to me, is a unique situation. What say you?
I think you're right. You look around Las Vegas even before the team moved there, and you've got hotels that are, mimicking all sorts of historic buildings. You're absolutely right. It's a great point. I'd never thought of that you can create an environment you couldn't create in other locations. The other point, of course, is the significant amount of money, and by significant, I mean almost $1 billion, which the municipality and the state contributed to make that stadium a reality. That's not happening anywhere else. And I'm not suggesting it should. I'm not suggesting municipalities or states should be relied upon to fund stadiums. But the fact is, in Vegas, that close to $1 billion was available, whereas it wouldn't be in other places. But to your point, you're absolutely right about the unique nature of that venue.
Also something else too regarding places like Oakland, and maybe you can talk me down from the ledge, because I feel that the old Oakland culture would have fought in a different way to retain the Raiders and build a stadium for them, whereas I can't quite define where we're headed as a city, but I know that it seems to me we don't quite fight like we used to. And what say you about that with respect to the needs of the team and the need to know that the municipality is behind them?
Well, first and foremost, I will always do my best to talk you off of any ledge, no matter what, no matter where, no matter when. I don't know that I'm best positioned to answer that question. I moved from Oakland back to Los Angeles shortly after I resigned from the team. So I resigned in 2013. My husband and I moved back to Los Angeles in 2014. That's quite a number of years ago. So I haven't been in Oakland or the East Bay other than zipping up for a social event now or then, to really comment on a change in the environment since we left. But look, every city, every region is different. You've pointed out that Las Vegas is very, very different from many regions, most regions. I don't know that I can comment on the change in Oakland to which you're referring.
Now, given that, and something else occurs to me too, is more than just a jersey that creates team culture from a perspective of a city, right? In other words, you can't just look at what happened Monday night and say, okay, well, they're all wearing black jerseys. There was something else there. And for me, remember when we went to the AFC championship at the Coliseum?
I
and
do.
how we clobbered the Titans, and that there was this mist in the air because everybody was so excited. I don't know I don't know biologically what that is, human energy, whatever, but some of that was in Vegas, and it just felt oh so familiar in a way I had never seen before. I mean,
Well, you are right. It is about so much more than the jerseys. And of course, look, the way Raider fans are attired when they come to the games is magnificent. All of the tremendous Raider fans, Violator and Gorilla Rilla and Aphrodisiac and Stoner Dude. And I don't want to leave anyone out, but I also don't want to take all your time by naming every fan. I love them all. It is more than the attire. It is an environment. And I meant to answer this in response to an earlier question, but I sidetracked myself. The stadium in Las Vegas is magnificent. The environment is magnificent. I have shared with you that I believe Raider fans would make any environment magnificent, but that's because the Raiders are so different and so much more than a jersey. This is an organization which, going back decades, I mean, Al Davis hired without regard to race, gender, ethnicity, or any other individuality, which has no bearing whatsoever on whether one can do a job. He did that decades and decades and decades before that was even a subject of discussion. That is an environment that permeates the organization. The Raiders do things differently, and the fans are going to carry that with them wherever in the world that team plays. When I was with the organization, we played games in Tokyo and Barcelona and Mexico City and London, and the fans from around the world rallied to those games. And there is a commonality among those fans that I believe is different from other fan bases.
now I'm going to shift gears a little bit because we have a bunch of my team here that all wanted to see you in the NFL Hall of Fame. So
Aw.
I'm going to open up with Vinny Lospinoso. Vinny is a student at Hofstra, but his bag, if you will, has been the NFL Hall of Fame and following its doings. Vinny, if you can unmute, please. Thank you. And ask your
Hey,
question.
Amy, I know you've probably seen me on Twitter a few times talking to you.
I see you on Twitter a lot, and don't feel bad about the request to unmute, because while we were getting ready to start this, I was firing off messages to Zennie saying, "You can't hear me, you can't hear me," because I had myself on mute. So there you go.
Yeah.
And I do know you from Twitter, and I love our Twitter village, and I love interacting with you on Twitter.
Oh, I love the Twitter village too, Amy. And as you probably know, I, of course, follow the Pro Football Hall of Fame very, very, very religiously, more than most people. And considering I follow the Hall of Fame very closely, I've, of course, been someone that's been very advocate for pioneers like Charles Fowles and Roman Gabriel and you. Because I should mention, Amy, there are so many Raiders fans and people in general that want to see you make the Hall of Fame because what you have meant for the impact of women in this industry. You are a pioneer, Amy. Are you surprised by the number of people asking for you to be in? Do you personally think that you are deserving of it? And do you think you will eventually make it there one day? What are your personal thoughts on that?
Well, when Zennie raised this topic and said he was going to bring you into the conversation and explained why, you probably heard a little bit of an emotional, I don't know whether we would call it a peep or a little blurt out of me, but it was heartfelt, because when you do tweet about this, you touch my heart every time, you warm my heart, you pop my heart, as do the tweets of this nature from the fans. And you know, look, who knows what the future may bring? It's not something I think about. It's not something I ever gave thought to until I saw your magnificent tweets, which I do appreciate so much. I don't know what the future will bring, but I know that something that means more to me than you may ever imagine is the support of the fans. From the time I joined the organization, and by the way, for those of you listening that weren't even born then, this is going to sound like a really long time ago to you, but I joined the organization in the mid 80s. And you know what? That was a long time ago. And, it was the first time that an organization had brought in a woman, although I would say at the time, I'd call myself a girl, to do the job. And the fans embraced me without hesitation. My gender wasn't an issue. I embraced the fans, and the tweets that you share and the thoughts that you share mean more to me than anything ever will.
And next up, Joseph Armendariz, who's in LA. Joseph, you're on unmute, please. Let's see here. I believe he's.
Okay, I'm sorry. So hi, Ms. Trask. It's an honor to speak with you. Like my fellow colleague, Vinny, I also tweet with you regularly. I'm Godfather 2212, and it's an honor to speak with you. My question is somewhat something you alluded to. My question is, what is it, the mystique of the Raiders that attracts predominantly Latino fan bases in both Oakland and Los Angeles?
First of all, please feel welcome to call me Amy. You're very nice to say Ms. Trask, but we're all part of Twitter Village together, and we all share a lot of commonality. So please feel welcome to call me Amy. And I do recognize you from Twitter now that you mentioned your @ thingy. I'm sure there's a better term for it than an @ thingy. Look, the Raider organization attracts people from every nationality, race, gender, ethnicity, religion, because that's who the Raiders are. That's who Al Davis was. Look, it's not a coincidence that he hired Tom Flores, and then he hired me, and then he advanced Art Shell to head coach, and people around the world gravitate to the Raiders. Al did things the right way, and people around the world recognize that. So the best answer and by the way, we're a little different than everyone else, and I think that's terrific, and I think that attracts fans as well.
And we give our longtime NFL draft colleague, Bill Carroll, asked Bill, out of honor for your decades-long service to the NFL draft, a question.
Well, first of all, I want to thank Amy Trask for being here for several reasons, not the least of which, beyond being, I think, a legendary figure in the history of the game, and I don't think I'm exaggerating one tiny iota when I say that, she is also an incredibly genuine and kind person in a time when both of which have sadly become a little rarer than they used to be. So I just want to thank you so much for being an incredibly genuine and beautiful person.
Amy, I'm going to add to that too. I want to thank you for casting the yes vote for the Super Bowl bid that we fell short of by 8 votes in 2000 at the NFL owners meeting in Atlanta.
Of course, I was going to vote yes on that. And if I may just interject, Bill, I wish you could see my face, although given what I look like right now and where I'm sitting right now, I'm actually glad you can't see my face. But when Zennie introduced you and indicated you'd be talking, I am smiling ear to ear. I see you on Twitter. I interact with you on Twitter. I love our interactions, and to be talking to you just delights me. And as to your point, one reason I love our Twitter village is we all exchange thoughts in a reasoned and reasonable manner. And when we disagree with one another, we disagree agreeably. We engage in civil discourse. And I can tell you that over the years now that I've been on Twitter, I can count on roughly 2 hands the number of times someone has inserted himself or herself into a conversation and expressed something in a nasty manner. And in each of those instances, I have responded and said, you know what? Fair enough. You disagree with me? That's fine. But you don't have to do it in a mean manner. You don't have to be mean. And I recognize I sound like an 8-year-old when I'm saying don't be mean. But in all but 2 or 3 instances, the person has responded and said, you know what? You're right. I could have expressed my disagreement more nicely. And then we go on to have a discussion. And think how much nicer the world would be if everybody did as we do in our Twitter village and exchange thoughts in a reasoned and reasonable manner and disagree agreeably when disagreeing. So Bill, I am, as my mother would say, tickled pink to be having this conversation with you.
Thank you. So one very quick thing. Obviously, young women look up to you. Could you just tell me a little bit about what that's been like for you, being a mentor, a voice, a person that young women who want to be involved in football, which is still, I mean, obviously it's a little easier than it used to be, but it's still a tough mountain to climb. And you've been one of the primary Sherpas leading the way. What has that been like, and what role do you feel like you fulfill for them?
I've never looked at myself in that manner or in that role. I've never considered myself a role model, and the NWA song in that regard comes to mind every time I hear the word role model. There's a great NWA reference with Cube and role model, but I won't repeat it on air. But I've never, NWA aside, I've never considered myself a role model. That said, if by doing what I have done and doing what I am doing does inspire any child, a little girl, a little boy, to dream and to pursue her dreams or his dreams, well, then I love that, because that's what we should all do for one another. We should all encourage kids to dream and to pursue their dreams. And if I can help in that regard, I am honored to do so.
Amy, the start of this hard copy video will have this little theme that I dug up for you. I'm going to play it as we go out. I hope you, I'm sure you're going to enjoy it. What do you think, Amy?
I'm smiling ear to ear, Zennie.
Well, wait till you see the finished product.
Uh-oh. Thank you so much for having me. It is really and truly an honor to join you. Thank you for allowing me, indulging me to do it by audio only. And my message to kids in that regard is we all have our insecurities. Mine was not wanting to do things by video. And Zennie, thank you.
You're quite welcome. But I want you on video one of these days.
Okay, maybe I'll put on one of those fake glasses with the fake look. Maybe we'll do that. Maybe I'll dress like a sock puppet.
Well, it's just like I think during the Super Bowl, when we had that back and forth, I think everybody was shocked that we knew each other. And I was getting a kick out of it, because there's so much of Oakland that I think people would love to reminisce about, that we can reminisce about. You know what I mean?
Right. Agreed.
In a good way.
Agreed.
Give me a quick prediction going out. Raiders and Steelers. Got a score?
Oh, no. I'm terrible at that. I don't predict scores. I am concerned for the Raiders for the pass protection. They redid the entire offensive line during the offseason, and now they are down at a minimum one starting guard with the injury they sustained last week. I don't know if Incognito will play or not. If he doesn't, they're down two guards. So let's do as I always do and keep our eyes on pass protection versus pass rush. As to pass rush, the Raiders certainly look a lot better in that regard. And as Al always said, the quarterback must go down, and he must go down hard.
And so we're going to give you a round of applause on the way out. Everybody on mute.
Thank you so much.
No, thank you guys. It is
We love you.
Event.
truly my honor and my pleasure. And hey, don't worry about it, because I didn't unmute myself either.
Thank you, Amy, so much for coming on. Again, just like with Bill and Joseph, and of course, Zennie said, it's an honor speaking to you. Not in person, but at least I get to hear your voice and you get to hear mine. And considering that you are such a pioneer for the history of the game, like all those other fans, I want to see you in Canton, and I want you to continue being a pioneer and a positive role model for women all across the nation and all across the world that want to be a part of this great game. Thank you so much, Amy. It means a lot.
All right. Well, now you guys are going to make me cry. The honor was all mine. Thank you for having me.
We love you, Amy.
Yeah, we
Love you, Amy.
And I love you all back.
Yep. See ya, Amy. We're going to stick around. And by the way, these guys are part of my company. They all have stock, and so they've helped me build this thing. And so
I love that. I didn't know that, and I love that, and I love everything you're doing. And next time when you are back in California,
I stole
and
them.
next time I'm up there, we will connect.
You got it, definitely. Hey,
Okay.
on me too. We got to get Tagami and get him out there too.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Talk soon.
All right, you got it. See ya.
Bye.
All right. So, folks, what'd you think?
It was great. It was great. I loved it.
Amazing. Life-changing.
Yes, yes, indeed. And I have a call from my daughter also. Hello, Avery Claire. You can call me later, sweetie. I'll talk to you soon.
And why call her? Why was she calling you then?
Hey, so I got a question for you all since we're before, is there before we close out, but is there what about, do you see the game and what'd you think of the crowd?
On Monday Night Football?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was a terrific crowd, obviously, and a mix, right, of people who were truly hardcore football fans. And clearly there was a mix of some tourists who were just there because it was a cool thing to do. But I think it was mostly people who were there to actually see a football game.
Yeah, definitely. I think one of the unique things about being in Las Vegas was that you have an opportunity, primarily, you have this great Oakland crowd coming, but you also have this opportunity of all the LA Raider fans that didn't have to take a long trip. It was an hour flight or 4-hour drive, and it's somewhat local for them. So they all showed up. All the hardcore Oakland Raider fans showed up, and you have the celebrity atmosphere. This is the new Hollywood. Las Vegas is the new Tinseltown. It's the entertainment capital of the world, and that reflected every aspect of that home game.
Yep. What do you think, Vinny?
I agree with Joseph said. This felt like, I remember seeing a lot of games in Oakland for the Raiders, both before their move and even back in like the 60s and 70s. It feels like that crowd. And looking all across the stadium, it was like 90% Raiders fans. I barely saw any purple jerseys in the slightest. It felt like it was all Raiders fans. It was complete home field advantage. And considering that this team, after a year of being in Las Vegas, Nevada, is actually getting its presence of Raider Nation in the actual facility, it really does feel like a homecoming game. It truly just absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt, felt like a game that you would find in Oakland in like the 70s. That's how strong of a feeling I had.
Or even 2019, because I was at the Bengals game, and the Raiders have never really had since 2003 the greatest record, but the crowds have always been there. And 3 years ago, they had a season ticket wait list of 25,000 people, and that was on the way out.
Yeah,
to Las Vegas. They were still lining up to see them at the Coliseum because a lot of people, including myself, thought that the Vegas deal was going to fall apart to begin with.
Can I add something to that, Zenny?
Yes.
Okay, I don't see myself, so I don't know if you can hear me.
I can't hear you, but I didn't know I didn't make you invisible or anything. Hold on a second, because I can see you.
Okay, see you. No, because every time people talk, they're on full frame, and I wasn't, so I thought maybe I wasn't. Being connected.
No, you're on full frame. No.
Oh, it is okay. So, and this is a question for all of us here. Is that one thing that I played? In fact, I'm looking at Bill, so I'm going to kind of ask my question towards Bill, but please, everybody, answer. Is that the unique thing when we talk about home crowd or we didn't see that many purple jerseys? The one thing that I thought about is that the fact that Mark Davis instituted that everybody has to be vaccinated, wouldn't that necessarily almost guarantee a home crowd? Because we know across the country, people have mixed feelings about the vaccine. And are they willing to get that vaccine to go see their team play because it's not their home team? So I think that was kind of, I thought that was kind of, for me, a unique thing about doing this vaccination or doing the Clear app. How many outsiders from the Raider fans are willing to do that to come see their team at Allegiant Stadium?
Well, I think partially, once again, you just said Las Vegas is a destination place for people inside and outside the United States. If you don't make a firewall, for lack of a way of putting it, at your team's facility, at your team's stadium, you will have big time problems. So it was a very smart move, in my opinion, be a requirement. And I think that since it didn't hurt you, obviously we just saw that there was no drop off. Like they had people, you know, getting well above face value who were scalping tickets outside. And, you know, and there was no, you know, like you could have sold 3 times probably that many tickets as the actual capacity if you wanted to, if you could have, right? So I don't think it's going to hurt them. I think it's only going to help.
Hey, I think someone was talking about, I think it was Vinny was talking about the 70s, and I said, no, it was like that recently. But here's just a random choice that I made from one of my videos from a Raider game that I can share here if you can see it. And this is the famous Kansas City game where it turned into an epic battle at the time. Let me see if I can play this. Yeah.
Raiders 14, Kansas City 10. 40 seconds left in the first quarter.
See, that's what I'm talking about. That's like, you see what I mean, guys? That's like, hold on a second. That I love that music. You see what I mean? I got to be careful. I didn't want to get
Don't want to get copyright strike there, Zennie.
Right, exactly.
I got it within 3 seconds. But you see what I'm talking about? What Monday night felt like that. You know, that's what got me.
It was
Right.
loud. It was really
It was very loud. It was very, very committed, very intense. And like I said, I think the only difference, I mean, there's some socioeconomics, obviously a little bit different because of what Las Vegas draws. But I think the vast majority, like I said, I'm sure there's some people there who are sort of transients or whatever. You know what I mean? In terms of not transients, like coming and going, like tourists, people who are in town for business, for conferences, who was like, oh, there's a Raiders game, right? And they had money to spend, who showed up too. But the vast majority were people who, like I said, wanted to see the Raiders play. Like either whether they're from Las Vegas or not, and of course, a lot of people who are in Las Vegas are not from Las Vegas. And, you know, that's the nature of a tourist town as well. But there were people that came there from Oakland, people who came there from Los Angeles, and Las Vegas is building a Raider culture as well. So the Raider fan base, which is, you know, literally worldwide, you can go to there's bars in Finland that are Raiders bars. I mean, it's crazy. But I mean, it is. I have a friend who, you know, lives in Helsinki, and there is a Raiders bar in Helsinki, Finland. It's not a big, but it's there.
Like two cities, two fans.
or something?
This is the other thing I want to share is I think, you know,
What you think of that?
hold on a second. It's, and this is what I miss about being at the Coliseum. I don't know if this is going to happen if we get to, if I get to Las Vegas, but you never know. But it's scenes like this. Parents stop you.
So why like two Zennie62 fans? Hey, what you think of that win?
Great game. What do you think? What do you think? Were you nervous?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. He said his stomach was hurt.
Mine too, man. My stomach was like pounding. I couldn't believe it, but we did it, right?
We beat the chef.
We did it. We beat the
We haven't beat them since.
Right, and we did it in white uniforms.
Yeah.
You know?
He's never seen that.
I never seen the Raiders in white uniforms.
Hey, high five, high five. You got it. Man, this is something else. Hey, this is a great game. What do you say?
Yeah. Great game. Love it. Right here in Oakland, California, where they belong.
Yeah, absolutely. Where they belong. Thank you. Great.
That was in 48 in the slightest.
Getting it, yeah, where they belong, right? And then it's
Well, that's an alternate timeline, though.
an alternate timeline.
You know, I wanted to say something with regards to when you mentioned how will it be the same that you get from Oakland, or I can speak on my behalf, even recently when the Raiders came and played the Rams August of 2018, you can't replicate that for this reason, I think solely, is that you're talking about these two historic coliseums that are open air. It feels in a much grander scale, in my opinion, in that open air atmosphere. But second, I experienced many games in Oakland, that fandom, but recently that same experience that you played on the video clip was kind of, for whatever reason, got brought back to Los Angeles when the Raiders played the Rams in 2018. The Raiders fans took over that whole stadium. And when the Rams did that chant, "Whose house?" the whole stadium said Raiders. I mean, that was incredible. I mean, that because, and Amy said something that was very unique to her conversation, is that the LA Coliseum later on improved, but it was a horrible place to watch a football game.
Right.
And I think that hindered the Raiders' attendance moving forward. But
I thought the term was rustic charm, right? That's how they described it, Joseph.
yeah, and currently it's a much better facility for USC. They moved everything closer. And so we saw some of that in 2018. I mean, the Raiders, the Raider crowd just loved that atmosphere. But there's something unique about an open air Coliseum that you can't replicate indoors.
But I think that what Mark Davis, to his credit, what Mark Davis did is something that it would have been in Oakland too had we had the stadium, because he insisted on 65,000 seats in an atmosphere, which really you saw at the Coliseum of the videos that I showed you. Now, yeah, the A's didn't like it much, but having the East Side Club and bringing in made a big difference. But then also, what I saw Monday night made me want to be in one of the lounges to see if it was anything like this from the Chargers game.
We got a score. Raiders, just 8 seconds left. Raiders are on the Kansas City 1. They did not give them a touchdown. It's first and goal. I'm hoping they score. We got to score. And score!
Always good to see a David Emerson jersey in the house.
Who scored? Wait a minute, it's a flag. Flag on the play against who? Crabtree? They call the flag. Pass interference offense. Oh man, I don't believe this. With 3 seconds left. Let's see it. And he, oh boy. He didn't push out. Wow.
This is what I thought we were going to lose.
Man, I don't believe this. This is unbelievable. The Raiders are down to one play. One play. One play. This is wild. First
That's at
and
the
goal.
West Side Club of the Coliseum, folks.
One play and somebody just called a timeout. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Wow. So I can't believe this game is like, it's a 10-yard penalty. And the pass caught before that was
Sponsored by Stella Artois.
on the one.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody thought he scored.
Zach.
This place went nuts. I mean, this place went nuts. And yet, wow. Yeah. Here we are.
This is the
Last
game,
play. It could be the last play of the game. And he wasn't. And the guy fell. He that was a flop. The defender flopped. That was a complete flop. Anyway, here we are. Right here. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. All right. Here we go.
He's scoring. Touchdown.
Flag on the play though. First down. First down. Raiders got it. Wait, it's a flag. Flag. It's a flag. Holding. Defensive holding. Defensive holdings. This is still down to one play.
Are you not allowed to get closer to the TV? There's this.
Defensive holding on Mr. Cook. And
Did everyone in that bar know
not
you?
only that, he hit Cook in the
No,
hands.
they're all over the place.
He could have
Some are
caught it and
outside.
scored.
They're at the chairs. They're in their
Right.
seats.
All right, here we go. This is
Someone just
ridiculous.
coming in.
All right, here we go. Somebody else call a timeout. Raiders call another timeout. What is that? Wow. So 30-second time. It's got to be, I think that's right. 30-second timeout. Well, if you're wondering where I'm at the West Side Pub. And this is the Raiders season right here. I mean, there's that much time
October
into this play.
20th, 2017.
Because the Raiders had lost 4 straight
Especially
games.
considering they were expected to make the playoffs
They
that
got
year.
LeBron Bowman, who really helped their defense for this game started. And we're not for a crazy bounce caught by a Chiefs receiver for a touchdown. This would have been the Raider game. But here we are with this play. It's 4th down. It's 4th quarter. 1 down. It's 5 yards to go. Right here. Okay? Right here. And it's incomplete. It is, but it's a flag.
Another flag.
It's a flag. It's a flag. Another flag.
Flag it is.
Pushed out of bounds. So you can't do that.
It's Flag City.
The call is pass holding defense half the distance to the goal. I mean, at this rate, the Raiders can almost walk the ball in and win, okay? The Raiders can almost walk the ball in at this point. So that's where we're headed. Look, I mean, so now it's, But it would have been nice if you caught the ball. On the last 2 plays, the Raiders receivers have not caught the ball and yet had penalties called against the defense. So here we are with the Raiders, and they're in what looks like a run.
The drama of it is somewhat haunted by the fact that
Place is going on. This is nice. This is nice, man. Oh, this is bad time, man. This is bad time.
See, that was like Monday night.
This is sweet.
It's loud. It's loud.
Yeah, this is sweet. They finally scored.
And
I would love to speak to them to
And
see
then
what the environment's like.
well, it would have. Obviously, it would be within this.
Hey, what do you guys think of that, man?
It's a word.
It ain't over till it's not over. It's not over till it's over. Hey, Nick the
Not
Greek,
over
what I
till-
tell you,
That's
man?
Coliseum. That's what
Come
I'm
back,
talking about.
baby, come back. It's time to tell you. I told him.
Yeah. And so that's why I said this place was absolutely just freaking nuts. It was like,
Right. I'm sure the stadium was more nuts. Like that would have been really cool.
That's just the bar. Imagine the stadium.
That's what I was trying to imagine. It was like that would have been great.
yeah, I was actually headed outside. There was because I was watching this with I was watching this with trying to find that with Morris Bradshaw. Oh, and I was trying to was this no?
This is going nuts. The Raiders just scored. On one of the most amazing plays in Raider history. And now we're waiting for the review. I mean, I was like, woo, that was something, man.
Yeah, and so I can't. There's one with Morris Bradshaw and it's just hilarious. But whatever. The whole point is that it's excitement like that, that I thought I'd never see again. Oh, here it is. Here it is. This is it. I thought I'd never see again. And then I saw it Monday night. And that's why it's nice to watch these and then think about Las Vegas and say, God, you know what? They got it.
Still got to kick the extra point. Kick the extra point. It's good. That was a dagger. Derek Carr threw a dagger to Michael Crabtree. There's no other way to describe it, but Derek Carr threw a dagger to Michael Crabtree to tie.
So since Derek Carr entered the league, he's number 2 in fourth quarter and overtime comebacks.
I'm going
Not
out.
bad. Very
And
underrated.
nobody thinks of him that way, right? He's an incredibly smart quarterback, but nobody thinks of him that way.
Men lie, women lie, analytics, the stats, they didn't.
On the field was a touchdown. And you got to admit, this is like, yeah, this is something.
I'm going to Morris Bradshaw.
Dang it.
There's Mo.
Yes. We win. We win. We win. We win. We win. Woo! That's what I'm talking about. We win. We win. We win. We win. Woo! Woo! We win.
I can see you're excited.
Yes, yes. Mr. Bradshaw didn't seem to share quite the same level of enthusiasm, however.
Hey, everyone expresses their own enthusiasm in different ways.
Well,
Vince.
Sure, right.
This is
A karate man keeps the iron on the inside, Vinny.
Enthusiasm, however.
Morris is
Morris,
like
everyone
the analyst. He
expresses
can
their own
find-
enthusiasm in
Morris, you know
different
what?
ways.
Morris-
Sure.
He can
Right.
he can find a bunch of different things that are wrong.
You should put your Yelps in a loop. Woo, woo.
It's like a ringtone.
Yeah.
Make a
I
Twitter,
have a fun question for
make a Twitter,
Zennie.
like a Twitter meme.
Okay.
Do it. Make it a Twitter meme. Well, actually, could you do the sound with that? Yeah, I guess you could.
Yeah, if it's
It would be the sound.
Yeah. So there. Yeah. I'm sorry, Vinny. You were gonna say something, or
No, it
No,
was
no,
me.
I was just saying that it would probably just be the audio, or maybe just the clip in that little segment.
that just came out. I just love that's been
Oh,
my,
it's real. It's genuine. It's real passion. It's real excitement and emotion coming through your brain, all throughout your nerves, and it's telling you to go, woo! They win. We win.
Yeah,
we
and that's
win.
why it's
We
kinda like,
win.
you know-
We win. Raiders win.
yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
you can't fake that kind of emotion.
You can.
No, and it's the thing about it is that too, Amy was saying basically that she was not there. She actually did negotiate the deal. And I don't know why, I'm not gonna burden, but it is notable because there's a photograph of her trying to point where to sign the deal points. Oh, excuse me. And it's a famous one because my boss is in it, L.U. Harris. And my boss before that, as a reporter, is in it. And it's something that if you've never seen it before, you should see it. And here it is. I'm going to put it on here, center that, and then share screen to note it for the viewers. Right here. There. See that?
Mhm.
The person that's pointing where to sign. Now, I'll tell you the cast of characters. I'll tell you everybody you're looking at. Al Davis at 6 o'clock. Amy pointing to him where to sign. Next to him in the blue shirt is the late Peerless Coffee CEO and Oakland Alameda County Coliseum Board President George Vukasin, a friend of mine. He loves Grey Goose. The man right behind him who's smiling was one of my former bosses, one of my bosses when I was intern the Oakland Redevelopment Agency, and the guy who taught me tax increment financing in 1986, and that's Ezra Rapport.
All the tiffs.
And he's the architect of the Raiders deal. And then, of course, the man who I worked for in 95 was economic advisor to 99. And that's L.U. Harris, who's in the middle clapping above Al Davis. And then right behind him is the late De Silva, and who was a kind of a negotiator for Mr. Davis and a construction executive who had long ties with Al Davis and passed away. And then the woman clapping is my hero, the late Alameda County Supervisor Gail Steele, who supported my Super Bowl bid with all her heart. I really miss her. So that's the cast of characters.
Good cast of characters you got there.
Yeah, and that was in 1995. And at that point, I was a columnist for Montclarian, And then later that year was in December, was hired on to be his LU's economic advisor. So that picture has a ton of history. And that's what I was referring to, because 2 years later, Amy was named CEO. Okay.
And that picture is significant because if correct me if I'm wrong, that's the first year they came back from Los Angeles.
That's right. That's the signing the deal. And that happened in, I believe, June, right there, after a lot of wrangling and a lot of concern that, hey, maybe they'll back out of the deal. But I reported on the 20th of March of that year that they were coming back. And Marty Poole said that, who was with the Tribune at the time, said, I'm the one who broke the story of the Raiders returning to Oakland from Los Angeles. So, it's Amy was the person, she was the key negotiator there, right there. And she and Ezra would work quite a bit of hours together to put everything right and dot every I and cross every T. But there's also, there's a lot that went into that I think at some point we make a great book and should. I just don't know what I can say and can't that might trigger something down the road that I'm not aware of. No. So, but I wanted to
A lot
show
of history there. So a
Yeah.
lot of history, a lot of
And that picture,
both in that room and in the doc. Everything about that is all about history.
Well, here's the thing. I
Everything.
still have those documents, and I'm one of 3 people who was actually taught by Ezra right there. Ezra said to us, we had a meeting on the 14th of January of 1996, and we went over the master lease agreement, and he said it was myself, Louis Cohen, who is the chief of staff to Exacio de la Fuente, who was city council president and the chairman of the Joint Powers Authority at the time, and Valerie Lewis, who represented Larry Reed, District 7 councilman. District 7 is where the Coliseum was located. Anyway, Ezra said, I want you to know these documents back and forth because no one else cares. That's what he said.
Wow.
And that was my job. Yeah. Because people in those days, like today, they don't read. And so there's a lot of faith. And I remember District 3 Councilmember Natalie Baton had said to Ezra, if this deal doesn't work, in other words, if these PSLs don't pay for themselves, I'm going to roll your head up down Broadway, which is the main thoroughfare for downtown Oakland. Well, as we know, famously, that didn't happen. There was needed 83% of, they need to cover 83%, or rather make 83 million base minimum in initial PSL sales for the money to cover the bond issue. Instead, they only got 56.6 million. And that's where the problem started. And the way the lease was, and the way the deal was negotiated, the bond underwriters had the right to dip into the county's till for 10 million and the city's till for 10 million annually for the next 3 decades. And that's exactly what happened, roughly. So and then the other thing I wanted to talk about, but I just decided to leave her out of it, is there was this discussion regarding this non-recourse loan that some of you may have heard about, and that was 200 million. Well, what I find annoying is the people that, and I'm saying this publicly, and I've said it before, that are advancing the argument and know nothing about the deal, and yet I'm one of the people who was there when the deal was struck and who was instructed by that guy what the truth was. And that came up, the question about that loan came up in our meeting that I mentioned. First of all, the loan was not 200 million, it was 64 million. And it was called non-recourse from the start. And so we asked Ezra what that meant. And he said, well, the payback, because non-recourse means that you don't normally get a normal payback. Like, you borrow some money and you pay it back. The payback for the city of Oakland was the Raiders playing in the Coliseum. That was it. Okay. That was it. So whatever's going on with Raiders staff and Bedain's departure, I guarantee you it's got nothing to do with that. And look, as Scott McKibben would tell you, when he was the Oakland Alameda County Joint Powers Authority executive director, and I'm the guy that got him the job. he will tell you that the previous administration and previous administrations, I don't mean political, but I mean executive directors, left that undone. In other words, he said, Zennie, we fucked this up, okay? And so you can't expect the IRS to come in and all of a sudden decide that they're going to ask for their taxes on something that was never resolved. And the auditor's report said so. You know, they were just sort of guessing at what it should be, all right? So whoever started this, I thought it was just clickbait for somebody that needed news. They didn't do any thorough researching on it. You notice it left as quickly as it came up, particularly after I weighed in and said, hey, you know what? There's no there. And there isn't. And that's the beauty of being at least around this long, to be able to turn around and have a media company, be able to turn around and say, you know what? That's BS, folks. So there you go. A little taste of our history.
Good history, very proud history, very historical history.
Yeah.
Very.
So, Zennie, I did have a question for you, and I don't know, it's something that you can get into, but with regards to executives leaving, do you have any insight as to why Amy Trask left or resigned in 2013?
Yeah, nothing I want to talk about here, though.
Okay. No, that's fine. I was just curious. Another fun question I had for you, Zennie, it's a fun question, and maybe all of us, I don't know if anybody else wants to answer this. If you could pick your top 3 jerseys that you would like to have or represent, what would those top 3 jerseys be for the Raiders, obviously?
Okay.
Yes.
Well, I always liked, I just like the basic, you mean number jerseys in terms of?
No, player wise.
Oh, easy. Ken Stabler, number 12.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm a Stabler guy, I go back to Ken Stabler, Art Shell, Gene Upshaw, Dave Dalby, Jim Otto, George Bueller, Henry Lawrence. That was the Raiders offensive line. Tight end Dave Casper, who did my 401k a little bit later after that.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Raymond Chester's been on
Notre Dame finance degree, right?
That's right. Been on Raymond Chester's been on this show a bunch of times, and I love this
Born too early, Raymond Chester.
Yeah.
Tight ends to really be able to block at his day. Now we don't care quite so much.
And from what college?
Morgan State, baby.
Hey, there you go. Morgan State. Yeah.
My top picks of jerseys, just because it's my generation or what I remember as a kid, it's a tie between Marcus Allen, Bo Jackson. I also loved Ronnie Lott later on when he came for the Raiders.
You try to get them in.
Tom Flores. Those are just some unique players that I think played for the Raiders. And of course, Howie Long. Mm-hmm. And of course, Speed Kills. I remember that logo even when they came to Los Angeles. Cliff Branch, Speed Kills.
Definitely. Well, guys, I stop at 6. Any parting thoughts?
My 3 would be one of the first really great speedsters talk about great trades in the history of any franchise. So Sammy Baugh, who at that time was coach and GM of the Titans, rather foolishly allowed Al Davis to get his hands on a man named Art Powell, who is, for some reason, not enough people talk about for the Hall of Fame. Look up Powell's numbers, especially for that era, and tell me he doesn't belong in the Hall of Fame. His numbers, despite the fact that he played in an even more defensive heavy period, really outstrip even Branch's. If you want to get mad about a Raiders receiver who's not in the Hall of Fame, to me, Art Powell's the guy to be really rallying behind. And he lost a couple of years of his career to being played as a defensive back by the Eagles of all things. And finally left them because of a racial incident. Found his way to the AFL originally with the Titans, finally finds his way to the Raiders. His career finally really takes off. He had one really good season with the Titans, but blew up with the Raiders. Definitely his jersey. Marcus Allen, just because Marcus Allen, still the most graceful running back I think I've ever seen in my life. I've been watching football since 1971. And I give anybody, he never looked like he was exerting effort. And he still managed to always, despite being a slender guy, power through tackles. Even though he didn't look fast, he outran people all the time. And then, probably Howie Long. It's a toss up between Long and, I mean, Lott, I don't really think of as a Raider, but I can understand why you, I mean, I would think of him as obviously 49er first.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would probably go with Howie for my third one.
Yeah. Also, even though this was also way before my time, at the same time, I would say this: don't let my age fool you. I'm the guy that rallies for people from the 1800s in Hall of Fame. So
True.
what do I know? In terms of mine, I would obviously have Ken Stabler, because in many people's perspectives, there's not a single person that personifies the team culture than Mr. Kenny Stabler himself. I would go with Marcus Allen, because just as a pure runner, he was better than almost anyone there. And as for my last guy, I'm going to also go with Art Powell, because right after Cliff Branch, in terms of AFL receivers that I'd like to see in the Hall of Fame, considering that his numbers were impressive even for that time, I'd say, hell yeah, I would definitely take an Art Powell jersey any day of the week.
I want Big Ben Davidson too.
Oh, there you go. Speaking of embodying Raider culture, geez Louise, yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. Hey folks, I gotta close out. I'm going to end this broadcast on StreamYard first, and then here. Don't go anywhere, folks. But this has been an interesting experience. We actually have this on two areas. We have this on StreamYard with Patrick and Blackman's been walked. Patrick says, "Oh, Patrick adds Lester Hayes, folks."
Yeah.
Yes, Lester Hayes should definitely also. He was a finalist 4 times, guys. A finalist 4 times. If you think that's crazy, look at the Dolphins fans. They're obsessed with Bob Kuchenberg. He was a finalist 8 times, and he's not in yet.
Yep.
I mean, come on.
And Dave Grayson, the best defensive back in the whole AFL, isn't in yet. But you know, that's for another show.
Don't forget just players, guys. Let's not forget. Has anyone ever wondered who founded fantasy football? A Raiders minority owner back in the day, Wilfred Wilkenbach. But
I didn't know that.
You know that now. You know that now. A Raider created fantasy football, and because of what he did, the NFL has raked in billions upon billions of dollars all of these years because of what he did.
And folks, I want to say, Zennie, we got to focus on sports gambling. We got to make a big move in that area.
Oh, woo! I got some stories to tell when you're ready to do that. But yeah,
I'm ready now. I'm ready now.
That's for another time.
Hunting down the StreamYard, but that ends the StreamYard broadcast, folks. In there. So the StreamYard broadcast is ended. And next is the Zoom broadcast. But I can't do, and let me end the